So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're on this second episode of the series, and we have Sonia Ponzo with us all the way from UK. Thank you, Sonia, so much for joining me, and thank you for accepting the invite. Let's just give an intro about yourself, who you are, and what you do to everyone.
My name is Sonia Ponzo. I'm the CEO and founder of Outset Wellness. Outset is a company with a mission to make exercise accessible and enjoyable for everyone. We've built an app, a progressive web app, Outset, that syncs to your calendar, adapts to the weather, and learn so it just fits activities throughout the week for you. You can also invite your friends, match workout times, and stay motivated together. The whole point of what Outset does is to try and get people out of the door as much as possible, try to get them to move and to move in a way that feels intuitive, natural, and sustainable.
Coming to this whole Outset Wellness, so I was going through your profile, and you've been in clinical research, and you've been a researcher before this, and you've been a lecturer before this. How did you get the idea to actually move from that and start your own app and start in this path?
First, I was an academic, so I did my PhD in psychology. I finished my PhD. I tried staying in academia for a while. I did a year of lectureship. So that was just an opportunity. And I realized that was not really the thing that worked for me as much. So I decided to give industry a go. And I landed my first job at BioBeats, a company that was looking into how we can leverage physiological data to help people manage stress and improve their mental health. And that's when my journey in industry began. I started there as a research scientist. About a year and a half into my industry career, I started as head of research in another company. But I think what that gave me was a lot of perspective and a lot of learnings in terms of to run a business, what to do, what not to do.
It starts from like a problem or something that you see first, and then it grows from there. How do you see the difference between these two?
Oh yeah, massive. You think you understand the complexity of leading a company, you think you understand the complexity of putting together a strategy and then executing it, but you don't. You have no idea. When the company is yours and you're trying to do a million things at the same time, all of them kind of good enough, none of them very well, because that's kind of how it feels to be a founder. That's when you really realize how difficult it is. And I think, when you are in senior leadership, you have the luxury to stop and reflect, to see what's working, to see what's not working, and you have that kind of detachment from the company, because as much as you are invested, it's not yours. When it's yours, it's a very different.
Like, you just recently launched Outset Wellness. Like, you sent me a message. How long did it take for you to, everything starts with an idea, right? So where was the idea for you to start Outset Wellness?
It was a kind of a personal journey, in the sense that, I've always known that you have to exercise, right? We all do. It's something that everybody tells us is part of a healthy living. We mostly look at it as something that we have to do, like a box to tick. I was on a business trip with a colleague, and she just suggested casually, do you want to come with me for a run? And I was not a runner. I was someone that was like, no, right, that's not me. But I decided to go anyway. And it was a moment that changed my life. Such a key moment for feeling like myself again. It was a sort of feeling reconnected with your body, finally feeling like you can catch a breath. I started worrying about comparing myself to others a lot. But what that meant is that then I couldn't run anymore. So the thing that was keeping me sane was not there. Why does it need to be about pushing? Why can it just be about feeling good? And that's when I decided, with my partner in business and in life, Nick, and our friend Davide, to found Outset as it is today. And we started that about a year ago. It's kind of a side project. We started working on it, on and off in our personal time, whilst we all had full-time jobs. It was sort of an intervention, a behavior change intervention, much more than just a widget.
So now that you've launched it, how has been the initial traction for the app, and have you got any users, and how is it growing right now? Like, as for your team, and also like the audience base for that.
But I think the kind of products that do very well in Product Hunt are much more about productivity, and they have a focus that is not really health and fitness. So it wasn't really necessarily the target audience for us. But it was still an incredible experience. We got quite a bit of traffic to the website. We got our first users and our first paying users. So that is something that is a milestone, especially with no marketing that has been put behind the launch. But what we need to try and do now, I think, is really try and find where our people are.
You did have full-time jobs when you started this, and then eventually you did come into this full-time. So do you think it is wise to leave your full-time job and then go completely into this, or start it on the side, and then when you see this is going somewhere, or this is going to be bigger than your full-time job, then leave it? Or how did you get to that point where you decided, like, okay, I can leave my full-time job and then I can go into this?
If you keep something as a side project, you're not going to give it your full attention. So of course, it's going to take much longer to get anywhere. And the reality is it might never, because when you have split attention and you have split resources, it's very difficult to nurture and put as much effort as you need to put into a startup. By all means, I'm not from a wealthy background at all. Neither is my partner. We're both working class families. For me, it was a really difficult decision to decide to put forward the little savings that I have. It wasn't that much of a weight at the end of the day. When I weighed the idea of not trying and trying, it was just a no-brainer. It depends a lot on what your situation is. If you're trying to raise funding from angels and VCs, they will tell you that you won't be able to raise until you're full-time. So they won't give you money until you're full-time because there are legal repercussions related to it. Because obviously you can't be taking money but also be somewhere else. There's IP issues, there's a lot of things, So I think it needs to be a very personal choice. But one thing I would say is, since I started working full-time, I realized that I was much, much better at everything else. Like before, I was barely keeping it together and I was missing out on so much learning and on so many opportunities to promote the business, to understand the business, to understand the people. So you gain a lot when you do pass full-time.
So now that you're completely into this and you've launched the app, and what has been like the biggest challenge which you're facing right now, and the challenge which you faced when you are developing this? Let it be like the idea or the app. What was the challenge at that time, and now that you've launched it completely, what is the challenge right now for you?
So I think before, for us, the challenge was obviously resources. It was, me and my partner and Davide, and we were not able to go as fast as possible. So we were very lucky that we found a few really capable interns to help us. The main challenge now, we have a couple. I think one of the challenges we have is that we went for a technology that is not really very common. So there are some apps that use progressive web apps instead of being on the Apple Store, for instance. But it's not something that people are used to. So the process of downloading Outset goes through adding it to your own page or adding it to your bookmarks, because it's a website to download. But people are not really familiar with it. So that is one big problem that we have found. The problem of not being fast enough is still there, because until we reach a certain point where we have enough resources to hire more people, we are going to still be a little bit slower than we would like.
Maybe like 1 year, you go backward 1 year, and then you go to the day where you get the idea, and you meet the Sonia who's there. And today, like, if you meet that Sonia, what would you tell her?
Oh, all the things that everybody told me, but I didn't listen to. So the first thing is, don't start building until you're absolutely sure your solution solves the problem. Talk to people, understand really who are the people with their head on fire. So the point is, try to find people with a real problem that your solution really solves. And also launch much sooner than you think. As soon as you have something, launch it.
Before moving on to the rest of the video, if you guys like this content and this type of content, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you get more videos like this and you get notified every time I post another video. And also it helps me to grow the channel. I've been doing it for a long time right now, so please make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you. So let's get back to the video.
So there's like two different types of startups like that's very popular right now. One is going the VC way and trying to find investors and all that, and the other one is just being a solopreneur, bootstrapping it like yourself, not doing. And there's so many people who do that, who have the idea of, I'm not going to go to investors, they build the app with that idea. I'm just going to do it myself. So do you think there's a benefit for any of these, or is it just like each one's choice?
In our case particularly, it was a choice, but later. So we started with the idea of raising money, and then we decided not to. And to an extent, it's a decision we took, but it's also a decision the market took. Because obviously, when you are a B2C product in health and fitness, you don't have the edge that VCs are looking for. You could go angels, but finding angels is not as easy if you don't come from a network of people who know, who can introduce you to these kind of people. To be honest with you, when we decided to bootstrap, it was kind of like a weight was lifted off my shoulders a bit. It's really difficult to even have those conversations because you're putting yourself there in your business. It really depends on the choices you also have. I spent a lot of time trying to get the money. If I knew that I couldn't get it, it would have been better spent on the company.
So you see so many people right now, they're trying to be entrepreneurs and they're trying to build apps and trying to do something on their own. It can be any field, right? So now that you've been in this journey for more than a year and you've actually launched an app, what would you tell to people who's trying to start in this journey?
Definitely, it's hard. It obviously has a lot of advantages, and it's also something. I think it's more something that you cannot not do. Like the way entrepreneurship felt to me, and it resonates a lot with a lot of other founders I talk to. It's not as much of a choice, but more like an itch you need to scratch. Like you can't not do it. So if you feel like that, then it's the right thing to do. If you just feel like, oh, I would like to work, by myself, you might need to reconsider. Your whole life is just about nurturing and getting that business to grow, at least at the very beginning. In our case, my partner and I live together as well. So for us, it's 24/7. And it has a lot of advantages, but also it means we never get out of that. Make sure that's the life you want for at least a little bit. Not to discourage, but just to say it needs to be a very calculated decision.
Right now in today's world, you have to do marketing. Otherwise, no matter what you develop, if no one knows that there's something like this, it's waste, right? So how are you doing the marketing side of your app? Because I think that's like a most important thing for anything.
So we're working with an incredible marketing strategist, someone who came on board with us a couple of months ago. He's an amazing person who really loves helping startups thrive, and he's a very mission-driven person, so we love working with him. And since we started working with him, we kind of realized that what we wanted to do was try to put value out. So we started building a strategy for videos mainly. So we focused on making short videos, video content, which has obviously value that we know will help people get a little bit more into exercising, but also will make people feel understood and will make people realize that there is another way. And we also are focusing on giving actionable advice that people can take away with them. I'm the kind of person who doesn't like having taken a picture of her. And now I have to put myself in front of, the internet for the internet to tell me how bad this or that is every day. But, these are the things you do when you know what you do.
How do you see the growth within yourself? How do you see the personal growth from being in a very different position and doing all this? How do you see the scale?
What would I be able to go back to? Imagine this fails, right? And I have to find a job. I have no idea what I'm good at anymore because I spent a year doing a little bit of everything. Brilliant. I'm not a specialist anymore. I became a generalist and now I have opinion about everything. I have opinions about all of the different aspects of a company, but I'm not an expert in any specific one of them. So I think the one thing that definitely struck me as interesting in this journey was the amount of learning that you do at what level, and also the fact that the quality bar kind of goes down a little. I used to be very much of a perfectionist. Now I'm much more of a, if it's good enough, it goes, it's fine. We don't spend more than necessary on it, which I think is good. But at the same time, I think it puts you in a position of not really knowing who you are anymore in terms of a professional. I think I heard that a few times when people said founders, they find themselves not knowing what to go back to when.
I understand what you get here. The more you start learning, or if you're trying something new, you end up learning so many different aspects of it, and at the end, you pretty much know the whole idea, but you can't really go into any one of those things. Yeah, so yeah, I get that. And
Thank you so much
for accepting the invite, and I'm really grateful that I'm also starting this. It's a pretty new thing that I'm doing. So yeah, I think thank you so much for being here and supporting the thing. Yeah. Thank you so much for the video, and thank you for sharing. Yeah, thank you so much. Bye bye.
Alright guys, so I think that video was very useful for you, and the whole point of making this whole new series is to talk more about entrepreneurship and how important it is, and giving you more ideas about entrepreneurship, making a business, doing a business and all that. So I hope this series is useful, and there's more videos coming like this from more people all around the world. All I ask is just one thing, just make sure to subscribe to our channel and please do support the content. I'll see you guys with another guest in another interview very soon, and till then it's Manish. Thank you guys. Bye bye.